Whenever you ask for change, you've got to be prepared for disruption. If you plant an oak tree in the earth, it's going to disrupt the soil. If you plant a peach tree in the soil, it's going to disrupt the ground. There's no way you can have growth without disruption. But God said to me, when you say change, I send disruption, but don't let the disruption become a distraction. God is working on your behalf even when you can't see it. It's easy to look at your situation, to look at the struggle and feel like nothing is happening. But I'm here to tell you today that God is moving behind the scenes. His hand is at work, even when you can't see it, even when you can't feel it. You might be in the middle of a season that feels dark, but that doesn't mean that God is not at work on your behalf. We live in a world where we want things to happen fast. We want answers now, and we want solutions yesterday. But God doesn't operate according to our timelines. He works in His perfect timing. There is a purpose in the waiting. You see, while you are waiting, God is aligning things that you can't even imagine. Doors are being opened that you can't see. Things are falling into place behind the scenes, and the moment of breakthrough is coming closer and closer. You have to understand that every trial, every challenge, every moment of discomfort is not in vain. There is purpose in the process. The things you're going through right now are preparing you for something greater. They are shaping you into the person you need to be to carry the blessing that God is bringing your way. What you think is a setback, God is using to set you up for something far greater than you've ever imagined. It's in the fire where your faith is refined. It's in the pressure where your character is built. It's in the struggle that God is shaping you into someone who can handle the weight of the blessing He has for you. You may be standing on the edge of something amazing, but if you don't trust God in the middle of it, you'll miss the miracle He's working on your behalf. It's easy to praise Him when everything is going well, but can you trust Him when the road is rough? Can you hold on when the storm is raging? That's where your faith grows. That's where your trust in God becomes unshakable. Faith isn't faith until it's tested. And I'm telling you right now, God is testing your faith to see if you can trust Him when the situation seems impossible. God is not a man that He should lie. His promises are yes and amen. He has spoken over your life, and He is faithful to bring it to pass. His word will not return void. He is not a God who forgets. His promises are not based on your ability to see them coming. They are based on His faithfulness. Even when you don't understand what's happening, God's plan is in motion, and He is working things out for your good. You may not be able to see it right now, but what God is doing behind the scenes is greater than anything you can imagine. You're waiting for a breakthrough, but God is waiting to show you just how far-reaching His plans for your life truly are. His plan is bigger than you could ever dream. His ways are higher than your ways, and His thoughts are higher than your thoughts. He is working things out for you in ways that you cannot comprehend. Through the storm, through the fire, through the tears, God is building something in you. He is refining your faith. He is strengthening your character. He is preparing you for the blessing He's about to release in your life. You are not being punished. You are being positioned for favor, positioned for breakthrough, positioned for the next level of glory that God is about to reveal in your life. When God works on your behalf, He doesn't do it halfway. His favor is limitless. It doesn't matter what the circumstances look like. It doesn't matter what people say. When God is working for you, no weapon formed against you can prosper. No one can stop what God has ordained for your life. The favor of God will open doors that no man can shut. It will give you opportunities that others can't understand. When God is on your side, you will walk in victory that others said you couldn't have. So don't give up in the middle of the storm. Don't give up when the road gets tough. The breakthrough is closer than you think. You're about to step into a season of favor, a season of provision, a season where God's hand will be so evident in your life that there will be no question that He has been working on your behalf all along. Hold on just a little bit longer. The best is yet to come. God is working for you, and your breakthrough is on the way. God's unseen hand is at work in your life, even when you can't see it, even when you can't feel it. There are moments when it feels like everything around you is falling apart, when the walls seem to be closing in, and you wonder if God is still in control. But let me remind you today, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. There is a power, a presence, an unseen force moving on your behalf, working in ways that you can't even begin to comprehend. You may be in a season right now where you're facing obstacles that seem insurmountable, where every step forward feels like 2 steps back. You might be wondering, where is God in all of this? Why does it feel like I'm walking through this alone? But let me tell you, this God is never absent. His hand is moving behind the scenes, orchestrating the details of your life in ways that your eyes cannot yet see. He's working in the quiet places, in the spaces where you can't track his movements. God is moving in the moments when you feel forgotten, working in the shadows of your uncertainty, putting things in place for your future. Think about how a masterful artist works. He begins with a blank canvas, and with each stroke, layer upon layer is added. Though at first it may not seem to make sense, you might look at it from one angle and think, this is chaos, this is confusion. But the artist knows that with every touch, a masterpiece is being created. God is much the same way. Right now, in the midst of your circumstances, in the midst of your confusion, he's painting a picture of your future. And though it may not look beautiful in the moment, every brushstroke is intentional. God's hand is working in the small moments, the ones you overlook, the ones you take for granted. He's putting people in your path that you don't even realize are divine appointments. He's opening doors that you haven't seen yet, preparing opportunities that haven't even crossed your mind. There are prayers being answered behind closed doors, breakthroughs being set up in places where you've never even stepped foot. While you may be waiting for your miracle to appear in a grand, obvious way, God is often working in the quiet, unseen moments, setting things in motion before you even ask. There's a supernatural movement happening on your behalf, and God is aligning things, rearranging situations, and connecting the dots in ways that you couldn't possibly predict. It's not always going to make sense. You won't always understand why things are happening the way they are. But one thing you can count on is this: God is working. He's never idle. He is never inactive. He's not a distant spectator to your life. No, he's intimately involved in every detail. Even when you can't see it with your eyes, even when you can't trace his hand, you can trust his heart. And here's the thing: just because you can't see the evidence of his work doesn't mean it's not there. Just because you can't trace the steps doesn't mean he's not making a way for you. You might not be able to hear the footsteps of the angels working on your behalf, but they're walking with you, carrying you through the things you can't bear alone. You might not see the breakthroughs happening behind the scenes, but trust me, they are on the way. God is moving in ways you don't understand yet, but he's preparing you for something far greater than you've imagined. Sometimes the unseen hand of God is at work in the most unexpected places. It's in the closed doors you didn't want to happen that he's protecting you from something worse. It's in the relationships that ended that were never meant to be part of your future. It's in the times of waiting when you feel stuck that he's refining your character, building your patience, teaching you to trust him even when you don't know what's ahead. The beauty of God's unseen hand is that he works in ways that are far beyond our understanding. He's doing things in your life right now that you can't even begin to see, but in time, the evidence of his work will be undeniable. When you look back on your life, you'll see that it wasn't by your own strength or wisdom that you made it through. It wasn't your own effort that brought you to where you are today. No, it was the unseen hand of God. It was his grace, his power, his protection that carried you when you didn't know how you were going to make it. It was his hand moving behind the scenes, orchestrating every moment, aligning everything for your good. So when you can't see God at work, when you feel like you're in the dark, remember this: he is still working. His unseen hand is guiding you, protecting you, and preparing you for what's next. Trust that God is moving even when you don't feel it. His work is not confined to your understanding or your perception. It's bigger, it's greater, and it's more powerful than you could ever imagine. Keep trusting, keep believing, and know that the unseen hand of God is at work on your behalf, and His plans for you are always good. Divine timing is something that often eludes our understanding, especially when we're in the midst of waiting. We live in a world that thrives on immediacy, where everything is expected to happen right now. We want our answers now. We want our breakthroughs now. We want the promises of God to be fulfilled today. But God operates in divine timing, a timing that transcends our limited view of what should happen and when it should happen and when it should happen. God is not bound by the constraints of time the way we are. While we see a timeline that begins and ends, He sees all things at once. He sees the beginning and the end as one, and He knows exactly when the right moment is. What we often view as delays or detours, God is using to prepare us for what's coming. Every season, every step, even the ones that don't make sense, is part of His perfect plan unfolding. What feels like waiting may actually be God working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything according to His perfect will. There are times in our lives when we feel as though we're stuck in a place of waiting, wondering if God has forgotten about us. We look at others who seem to be moving forward, achieving their goals, receiving their blessings, and we start to question, why not me, Lord? We wonder if our prayers are being heard or if the things we've asked for will ever come to pass. But I want you to know today that God's timing is never late. It's always right on time. What looks like a delay is simply preparation. God uses waiting as a tool to prepare us for His best. We may not understand it at the moment, but every season of waiting is necessary for what God is building in our lives. Think about it. When a seed is planted in the ground, it doesn't sprout the next day. There's a process that has to take place beneath the surface, a process that can't be rushed, a process that requires time. And during that time, things are happening that we can't see. Roots are growing deep. Soil is being enriched. The seed is being prepared to become the plant, the tree, or the fruit that will one day bear much. In the same way, God is working beneath the surface of our lives. You may not see the progress, but you can trust that He is doing a work in you that is deep and lasting. The waiting is not wasted. It's a part of the divine plan. Every moment you feel like nothing is happening, God is laying the foundation for something greater. What He is preparing for you is bigger than you can see right now, and it's going to require a level of readiness that only time can bring. There's also something about waiting that shapes our character and strengthens our faith. It's easy to praise God when everything is going the way we want. It's easy to thank Him when our prayers are answered immediately. But can you trust Him when the answer is not coming as quickly as you'd like? Can you still believe He's good when the path ahead seems unclear? Can you keep praising Him when everything in you wants to give up? Waiting on God teaches us to rely on Him, not on our own understanding or our own timing. It teaches us to trust that He knows what's best and that His plan for our lives is always for our good. Sometimes when we rush ahead of God, we end up in situations we're not ready for. We get what we thought we wanted, but we find ourselves unprepared for the responsibility that comes with it. The job we thought we'd love feels like a burden. The relationship we hoped would bring fulfillment leaves us feeling empty. The breakthrough we prayed for doesn't turn out like we imagined. That's because God knows exactly when we're ready for His blessings. He knows when we're equipped to handle the weight of the promises He's about to give us. Divine timing is not about when we think it should happen, but about when we are fully prepared to receive all that God has in store. I know it's hard when you're in the waiting. It's hard to trust in the unseen. It's hard to believe that things are moving when everything around you feels still. But I encourage you today to hold on to the fact that God is never early and He's never late. He is always on time. When the time is right, He will open the door. When the time is right, He will bring the promotion. When the time is right, He will restore what has been broken. When the time is right, He will bring the right person into your life. Everything He's promised you is on the way, but it's coming according to His timing, not ours. So even when it feels like nothing is happening, trust that God is working in the waiting. Trust that He's doing something in you, something bigger than what you can see. He's preparing you for what's to come. The delay is not denial, it's divine timing. Keep trusting, keep praying, keep believing. God's timing is perfect and the blessing is on the way. Just wait, and when the time is right, you will see his plan unfold in ways you could never imagine. Purpose in the process is something that can be difficult to grasp when you're in the middle of a trial or challenge. When you're facing uncertainty, when you're going through struggles that seem endless, it's easy to feel like you're simply walking through life with no direction, no purpose. But let me tell you today that there is a divine purpose in the process. Every step, every challenge, every moment of struggle is part of a greater plan that God has designed for your life. You see, God is not a God of accidents. He doesn't just allow things to happen to you without reason. Every circumstance, whether good or bad, is woven into the fabric of his perfect will. He's working everything out for your good, even when you can't see it. The process you're going through is not a detour. It's a part of the path that leads you to your destiny. It's in the midst of the process that God is shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for the person he wants you to be. The hardships, the setbacks, the struggles you face are not signs of God's absence. They are signs of his presence, his preparation, and his protection. When you think about the process of growth, think about a seed that is planted in the ground. At first, you don't see anything happening. The seed is buried, and it looks like nothing is changing. It's dark, and it's still, and it seems like the seed is doing nothing. But under the surface, something is happening. The seed is breaking apart, its roots are growing deeper, and it's drawing nutrients from the soil. It's in this process that the seed is being transformed into something greater, something that will one day bear fruit. But the seed cannot skip the process. It cannot bypass the darkness, the soil, or the time it takes for growth to happen. If it were to try and skip those steps, it wouldn't be ready to produce the fruit it was meant to bear. In the same way, God is using the process of your life to prepare you for what he has in store. The waiting, the refining, the pruning all have a purpose. You may feel like you're in the dark, like nothing is moving, but God is working in you. He's developing your character, building your faith, and making you strong enough to carry the blessings he has planned for you. You see, if you were to receive everything God has promised you right now, you might not be ready for it. You might not have the strength to endure the responsibility that comes with it. But through the process, God is preparing you to step into the fullness of your destiny. The process is also where we learn to trust. It's in the challenges that we realize we cannot do it alone, and we have to rely on God. When we're going through difficult times, it's easy to want to take control, to try and fix things ourselves. But God uses the process to teach us patience and faith. He shows us that we can't always rush through the hard times. Sometimes we have to sit in the discomfort, trust in his timing, and believe that he's working even when we can't see the results yet. And through this, we learn that God is faithful. We learn that he's always at work, even when we can't feel him, even when we don't understand what's happening. There is purpose in the struggle. The struggles you face today are shaping the strength you need for tomorrow. They are preparing you for the next level, the next breakthrough, the next step in your journey. Every setback you experience is not a failure. It's simply a stepping stone on the way to your victory. God uses the struggles to build resilience in you, to teach you perseverance, and to refine your faith. If you never went through anything difficult, you wouldn't know the depth of God's strength or his ability to sustain you. But when you come through the process, you'll look back and see how every moment, every challenge, every trial was part of God's plan to mold you into the person you're becoming. Sometimes the process doesn't make sense, and that's okay. God is not always going to explain himself or the steps he's leading you through. But he promises that he's working all things together for your good. There's a purpose behind every detour, every delay, every obstacle. You might not see it now, but in the fullness of time, God will reveal how he has used the process to shape your character, to build your faith, and to prepare you for the blessing he has prepared for you. Remember, the process isn't the end. It's just the beginning of something greater. The promise is still on the way. The blessing is still coming. And as you go through the process, know that God is with you every step of the way. His purpose in the process is to shape you, to refine you, and to prepare you for the amazing things he has in store. The best is yet to come, but first you must walk through the process. And when you do, you'll see that every moment of struggle, every step of faith was worth it. God is working in you, and his purpose will always prevail. God's promise is a firm foundation on which we can stand, even when everything around us seems to be shifting. His promises are not like the fleeting assurances of this world, which can be broken or changed with circumstances. When God makes a promise, it is a guarantee. It is not based on our feelings or our situation. It is anchored in his eternal faithfulness. And when we embrace his promises, we must hold on to them with unwavering faith, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. The beauty of God's promises is that they are not dependent on our perfection, our abilities, or our understanding. His promises are rooted in his character. He is a God who cannot lie, and he is faithful to fulfill every word he has spoken over your life. We may not always see how, when, or where his promises will come to pass, but we can trust that he is working behind the scenes, aligning things in his perfect timing. His word never returns void. It always accomplishes what it was sent to do. His promises are as sure as the rising sun, and when he speaks, things happen. It's easy to trust in God's promises when life is smooth, when everything is going according to plan. But the real test of faith comes when things aren't as clear. When you're walking through trials, facing challenges that seem insurmountable, and your circumstances scream that nothing is going to change, that's when God's promises are most needed. In those moments of doubt and discouragement, his promises are the anchor that holds us steady. It is his promises that remind us we are not alone, that he is still in control, and that he will bring us through. The beauty of a promise from God is that it is always true, no matter what. The enemy may try to convince you that God has forgotten you or that his promises are no longer for you. But the truth is that God's promises are timeless. They don't expire. They don't change with the seasons of your life. If he promised you healing, he will heal you. If he promised you provision, he will provide. If he promised you peace, he will give you peace that passes all understanding. His promises are not bound by time or space. They are eternal truths that remain constant no matter what we face. Sometimes the fulfillment of God's promises takes longer than we expect. It's in those moments of waiting that our faith is refined. Waiting on God teaches us to trust not in our own timing, but in his perfect plan. When we are waiting, it doesn't mean God has forgotten us. In fact, he is working in ways we cannot see, preparing us for what he has promised. His timing is always perfect, and when the promise comes to fruition, it will be exactly when we need it most. God's promises are not just for a select few either. They are for all who believe, all who are called according to his purpose. His promise of salvation, his promise of peace, his promise of a future and a hope, these are for you. No matter where you've been, no matter what mistakes you've made, no matter how far you think you've wandered, his promises are still yes and amen for you. He doesn't take them back, and he doesn't revoke them because of your shortcomings. His promises are unconditional because his love for you is unconditional. When we hold on to God's promises, we are reminded of who he is and what he is capable of. His promises are a declaration of his power and his love. They remind us that nothing is impossible for him, that he is a waymaker, a provider, a healer, and a deliverer. When you stand on the promises of God, you are standing on his word, on the same word that created the universe, that parted the Red Sea, that raised the dead. His word is living and active, and when he speaks a promise over your life, you can take it to the bank because it is backed by the authority of heaven. And here's the thing about God's promises: they never fail. We might fail, people might fail, but God will never fail. His promises stand the test of time, the test of trials, and the test of opposition. No matter what comes against you, his word will stand. The circumstances might look impossible, but his promises remain. When you feel weak, his promises remind you that he is your strength. When you feel weary, his promises remind you that he is your rest. When you feel lost, his promises remind you that he is the way. So hold on to his promises with both hands. Speak them over your life. Declare them in the face of adversity. When doubt tries to creep in, remind yourself of what God has said. His promises are your shield and your refuge. They are the firm foundation on which you can stand, no matter the storm. You are not in this alone. God's promises are with you, and he is faithful to bring them to pass. Keep your eyes fixed on him and know that his promises are coming to you in his perfect time, with perfect provision and with perfect love. Faith in the middle is one of the most powerful and often underappreciated aspects of our spiritual journey. It's easy to have faith when we're at the beginning of something, when everything is fresh, new, and full of possibilities. It's easy to have faith when we see the end in sight, when the promises of God are clear and the victory feels within reach. But faith in the middle, that's where the real test of trust and belief takes place. It's when you're in the middle of the struggle, in the middle of the uncertainty, in the middle of the waiting, that faith becomes a choice, a decision to believe even when you don't see the way forward. Being in the middle can feel overwhelming. It's that season where you know where you've come from and you know where you're going, but you're stuck in between. You can't see the end clearly yet, and the process feels like it's dragging on longer than you anticipated. The in-between can often feel like a wilderness, a place of dryness, confusion, and even frustration. It's in this space that you must learn to trust God's timing, his process, and his purpose, and that takes faith. Faith in the middle is a faith that chooses to stand firm despite the circumstances. It's a faith that doesn't give up when everything around you seems to be falling apart. It's the kind of faith that says, even though I don't understand it, I still believe that God is working. Even though things don't look like they're improving, I trust that he's moving behind the scenes on my behalf. It's the kind of faith that holds on to hope when it feels like all hope is lost. When you find yourself in the middle, remember that God is not distant from you. Just because you can't see the end result doesn't mean he's not with you in the process. In fact, it's often in the middle that God is closest to you. It's in the middle that he's refining you, teaching you patience, building your strength, and growing your character. God doesn't waste the middle moments. Even when things aren't moving as quickly as you'd like or as easily as you expected, know that he's using that time to prepare you for what's ahead. He's doing a work in you that can't always be seen on the outside, but it is deeply important for your growth and development. Faith in the middle requires a deep trust in God's plan. It means believing that even though you don't have all the answers, even though you don't understand why things are happening the way they are, you trust that God's ways are higher than your own. It's not about seeing the full picture, but knowing that God does. You don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to have all the details. All you need is the faith to keep walking, to keep believing, and to keep trusting that God is leading you somewhere good. Sometimes faith in the middle looks like taking one small step at a time, even when the road ahead seems unclear. It's showing up each day, doing what you know to do, and trusting God with the rest. Even when you don't feel like it, even when you're exhausted, faith says, I will keep going because I know God is faithful. It's the persistence to continue moving forward, even when you can't see the finish line. It's believing that God is working even when the progress seems slow. The middle also teaches us the power of persistence and endurance. Faith in the middle is not about immediate results, but about continuing to trust in God even when the results are delayed. It's about staying anchored in the belief that God will come through for you, even if it takes longer than you thought. It's about holding on to the promise that he is faithful to finish the work he has begun in you, even when the process feels like it's never going to end. When you're in the middle, you may not feel like you're making any progress, but know that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. And God is with you in every single step. What's beautiful about faith in the middle is that it often leads to greater breakthroughs than we ever expected. The middle can be a place of spiritual growth, a place where God strengthens our resolve and deepens our trust in him. It's where we learn to rely on him fully, to stop trying to control every outcome, and to let go of our own plans. In the middle, God has the space to work in our hearts and prepare us for what he has promised. What we see as a waiting period, he sees as a time of deep preparation. The middle might feel like a detour, but it's actually a necessary step in your journey. And in those moments when you feel like your faith is wavering, when doubt creeps in, and when you wonder if God has forgotten you, remember this: faith in the middle is still faith. It's in the struggle that your faith is tested and refined. It's in the middle that you learn to hold on to God's promises, even when the evidence doesn't seem to match. It's in the middle that you get to prove to yourself and to the enemy that your faith is not based on circumstances, but on the unshakable truth of who God is. So when you find yourself in the middle, don't despair, don't give up. Keep pressing forward. Keep trusting that God is at work, even when you can't see it. Faith in the middle is the kind of faith that gets you to the other side. It's the faith that says, I'll keep going because I believe in the God who is with me in the journey. And I know he has a purpose for every step. God will never leave you in the middle, and he will finish what he started in you. Keep believing, keep trusting, and know that the middle is just part of the process. Your breakthrough is on the way. God's plan is bigger than anything we can comprehend. It stretches beyond the confines of our limited vision, beyond our understanding of time, and beyond the boundaries of our own desires. We tend to look at our lives in segments, focusing on what we can see and what we can control. But God's plan is not confined to just our present moment. It encompasses our past, our present, and our future. It's bigger than the disappointments, the setbacks, and the failures we've experienced. His plan includes things we can't even imagine, things that are unfolding even now beyond the horizon of our immediate view. At times, it's easy to get caught up in the moments that seem insignificant. We face challenges, go through seasons of waiting, or find ourselves frustrated because things aren't going according to our plans. It's easy to think that the obstacles we face are signs that God's plan is off track. But the truth is, the setbacks, the delays, and even the detours are part of God's bigger plan. His plan isn't always immediate or clear, but it is always good. His ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. There are things happening behind the scenes that we can't see, but they are part of a divine tapestry that is being woven together for our good and his glory. God's plan for our lives is bigger than our own aspirations, bigger than our own goals, and bigger than our limited expectations. He sees the big picture, everything we've been through, everything we will go through, and everything that's necessary to shape us into the person he's calling us to be. We may not always understand why things are happening the way they are, but we can trust that he is weaving it all together piece by piece to fulfill a purpose that is far greater than our own understanding. Every joy, every hardship, every moment of growth is part of that grand design. When you look at your life and wonder why things are not happening the way you hoped, remember that God's plan is not limited to your immediate perspective. It's not confined to the job you didn't get, the relationship that didn't work out, or the dream that hasn't yet been realized. What you see as a setback or a disappointment might actually be God's way of redirecting you to something better, something greater than what you could have ever imagined. His plan for your life is not just about what you want, it's about what he knows you need to become the person he's destined you to be. Sometimes he allows us to face challenges or delays to build our character, to increase our faith, and to prepare us for the greater things he has in store. God's plan is bigger than the timeline we have in mind. We often get discouraged when things don't happen as quickly as we'd like, but God's timing is always perfect. What may feel like a delay to us is actually divine timing. God is never late. He's always on time, even when we can't see how everything is falling into place. What we perceive as waiting is actually a time of preparation, a time when God is shaping us and positioning us for what he's about to do next. We may not understand it in the moment, but looking back, we will see how God's perfect timing has worked everything out. Sometimes God's plan will take you places you never expected or lead you down paths you never thought you'd walk. His plan doesn't always fit into the box we've created for ourselves, and it doesn't always align with our own desires or expectations. But that's the beauty of it. It's a plan that transcends our limitations and leads us into the fullness of the life He has for us. It's a plan that is not bound by our mistakes, our failures, or even the circumstances that seem impossible. When we submit ourselves to God's plan, we are stepping into something much bigger than what we could have envisioned on our own. We're stepping into a destiny that He's been preparing for us all along. God's plan is also bigger than our individual lives. It's not just about what's happening to you or me. It's about the way He is using our lives to touch the lives of others. God's plan is always interconnected. But it involves people, relationships, and moments that go far beyond what we can see. The blessings God pours into your life are not just for you, they're for those around you. The trials you go through may be shaping you to be a blessing to someone else. The victories you experience may serve as a testimony to encourage others. When you submit to God's plan, you become part of something much greater than just your personal journey. You become part of His kingdom work on earth. When you step back and consider the vastness of God's plan, it can sometimes be overwhelming, but it's also incredibly comforting to know that He is in control of it all. What we see as a small piece of our lives is just a fraction of the great story God is writing. Every twist, every turn, every moment of joy or sorrow is a part of His greater narrative. He is the author and the finisher, and He will bring His plan to completion. Even when we don't understand, we can trust that He is working in us, through us, and for us to bring about His greater purposes. So when you face the unknown, when you find yourself in seasons of waiting, or when life doesn't go according to your plan, remember that God's plan is bigger than you could ever imagine. He's working behind the scenes. He's making all things work together for your good. His plan is not only about the things you want, but it's about shaping you, growing you, and positioning you for something much greater. Trust in His plan even when you don't understand it. And know that everything you've been through, everything you're going through, and everything you will go through is part of His perfect eternal plan for your life. Resilience in the storm is what separates those who survive from those who thrive. Life has a way of throwing challenges our way, challenges that can feel like they're too much to bear, too overwhelming to overcome. We all go through seasons of difficulty, moments when the winds seem to howl around us, when the waves of life threaten to drown us, and when everything feels uncertain. It's in these moments that our true strength is revealed, not in our ability to avoid the storm, but in our ability to endure through it, to rise above it, and to emerge stronger than we were before. Resilience in the storm doesn't mean that we won't feel the impact of the storm. It doesn't mean that we won't experience fear, doubt, or moments of weakness. We are human, and the forces of life can sometimes feel overwhelming. But resilience is the strength to keep going even when the storm is fierce. It is the ability to hold on to hope when it seems like all hope is gone, to trust in God's promises even when everything around us is falling apart. Resilience is built not in the calm, but in the storm itself. It's forged in the fire, shaped in the battle, and tested in the moments of uncertainty. When you find yourself in the middle of a storm, remember that you are not alone. God is right there with you, walking alongside you through the tempest. He has not abandoned you, even when it feels like the waves are crashing and the winds are howling. His presence is a constant reminder that you are not in this fight by yourself. He is your refuge, your stronghold, and your protector. Even when you can't see the way forward, He is guiding you. Even when you can't feel Him, He is holding you up. Resilience is not about relying on your own strength, but on God's strength. It is about trusting that He is faithful, that He will see you through, and that He is working all things together for your good. The storm may feel relentless, but remember that every storm has an end. Every trial, no matter how intense, will eventually pass. And when it does, you will emerge from it stronger, wiser, and more refined. It's in the storms of life that we learn who we truly are, what we're made of, and how deep our faith really goes. When everything else is stripped away, when we're left with nothing but our raw, unfiltered selves, it is then that we realize the depth of God's grace and the power of His presence in our lives. In times of storm, it's easy to feel like we've lost control, like everything is spinning out of our hands. But the truth is, God is always in control, even when we can't see the bigger picture. He is sovereign, and his plan is greater than any storm that comes our way. Resilience in the storm means trusting that God is still on the throne, that he is still working, even when it feels like nothing is happening. We may not understand why the storm has come, but we can trust that God is using it to grow us, to teach us, and to refine us. He is molding us into the people he has called us to be, and sometimes the storm is a necessary part of the process. It's important to remember that resilience is not just about enduring the storm, but about learning from it. The storm will teach you things about yourself and about God that you would never learn in times of peace. It will teach you how to persevere, how to lean on God, how to find strength in weakness, and how to trust in his provision. Every storm, no matter how painful, has the potential to build something beautiful in your life. It is through the storm that we learn the true meaning of faith, hope, and courage. In the midst of the storm, it can be easy to focus on the fear, the doubt, and the uncertainty. But resilience requires us to shift our focus from the storm to the Savior. When we focus on the storm, it becomes bigger and more overwhelming. But when we focus on God, when we remember his faithfulness and his power, the storm loses its hold on us. We are reminded that the one who calms the storm is greater than the storm itself. Our resilience comes from knowing that God is with us, that he is more powerful than any challenge we face, and that he will never leave us nor forsake us. Sometimes resilience looks like holding on to hope in the midst of hopelessness. It looks like praising God even when your circumstances are not ideal. It looks like finding peace in the chaos, trusting that God is working everything out even when you can't see it. Resilience is about standing firm in your faith, even when the winds of life are trying to knock you down. It's about choosing to believe that God is bigger than your storm and that he will bring you through it. Resilience in the storm also requires a perspective shift. Instead of seeing the storm as something that's against you, try to see it as something that God is using to build your character, to strengthen your faith, and to draw you closer to him. Every storm, no matter how fierce, has a purpose. God doesn't waste any of our pain or suffering. He uses it all for his glory and for our good. Resilience comes when we can see the storm not just as a trial to endure, but as an opportunity for growth and transformation. When the storm is raging, when everything seems uncertain and out of control, hold on to your faith. Remember that resilience is not about never falling, but about getting back up every time you do. It's about keeping your eyes fixed on the one who calms the storm. It's about trusting that no matter how powerful the winds may seem, God's power is greater. Resilience is about knowing that you are not defined by the storm, but by the strength God gives you to overcome it. And as you endure, you will see the storm pass, and you will emerge on the other side stronger, more anchored in your faith, and more prepared for the future that God has in store for you. Victory through struggle is a profound concept that challenges our understanding of success. We often think of victory as something that comes after a smooth and easy journey, when the path is clear and the road is free of obstacles. But the truth is, true victory is born in the crucible of struggle, in the moments when we feel the weight of the battle and when the odds seem insurmountable. It is in these very moments that our character is refined, our faith is tested, and our strength is built. Victory does not always look like the triumph we expect. Sometimes it comes through perseverance, endurance, and unwavering faith in God's promises. When we face struggle, it can feel like we're being torn apart. The challenges can seem relentless, and the weight of them can make us feel like we're being crushed under pressure. It's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture when we're in the middle of the storm. But the struggle is not without purpose. God uses the struggles in our lives to shape us, to develop in us the qualities that will sustain us through future trials and to prepare us for the victories ahead. There is a divine purpose in every difficulty we face. And though we may not understand it at the time, God is always working through the struggle. Victory through struggle is not about avoiding hardship, but about learning to thrive in the midst of it. It is about developing resilience, patience, and strength when life doesn't go the way we planned. The struggle is what strengthens our resolve, deepens our trust in God, and refines our character. When we face adversity, we have a choice: we can give up, or we can stand firm and fight through. Victory comes to those who choose to keep going, who choose to trust in God's plan, even when the path is uncertain. It's the ability to rise each day, even when you don't feel like it, and to keep pushing forward, knowing that God is with you every step of the way. One of the most powerful aspects of victory through struggle is that it deepens our relationship with God. When everything is going well, it can be easy to forget to lean on Him, to take Him for granted. But in times of struggle, we are drawn closer to Him. We are forced to rely on His strength, His wisdom, and His guidance. It's in the struggle that we learn to trust Him in ways we couldn't otherwise. We learn to lean not on our own understanding, but on His. The struggle forces us to recognize that we cannot do it on our own, and that we need God in every moment of our lives. Through the struggle, God reveals to us just how much He is capable of doing in our lives. When we are at our lowest point, when we are weak and weary, that is when His strength is made perfect. The Bible says that His grace is sufficient for us, and His power is made perfect in our weakness. Victory through struggle is not just about enduring hardship. It's about experiencing God's power in a way that we couldn't have imagined. It's when we are at the end of ourselves that God's presence becomes more real, more tangible, and more powerful. The victory is not just in the end result, it's in the process, in the journey, and in the way we are transformed along the way. Sometimes the struggle is not just about our own personal growth, but about something much bigger. God uses our struggles to impact the lives of others. Your victory can be a testimony to someone else who is going through their own battle. When you come out of the struggle, your story becomes a source of encouragement for others who are facing their own challenges. The victory you experience becomes a light that shines in the darkness, a witness to the faithfulness of God, and a reminder that if He can bring you through, He can bring others through as well. Victory through struggle also teaches us that growth often comes through discomfort. We cannot expect to grow in the easy moments. Growth happens when we are stretched, when we are forced to step out of our comfort zones, and when we face challenges that push us to our limits. It's easy to want to avoid discomfort, to seek comfort and ease. But it's through the struggle that we discover the strength we never knew we had. It's through the struggle that we develop the perseverance, the courage, and the faith that will carry us into the next season of our lives. Victory through struggle also reminds us that our struggles are not permanent. They may feel overwhelming in the moment, but they are not forever. The Bible tells us that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. The struggle may be long and the road may be hard, but God's promises are true. He will never leave us nor forsake us. He will carry us through the difficult times and lead us to a place of victory. The struggle may be a season, but it is not the end. The victory is coming, and when it does, it will be sweeter because of the struggle that preceded it. Finally, victory through struggle is a reminder that we are not defined by our circumstances. No matter how difficult the struggle, it does not determine who we are. We are defined by the God who created us, the one who calls us His own. The victory we experience is not based on what we accomplish, but on what God accomplishes through us. Our struggles do not diminish us, they refine us, they strengthen us, and they prepare us for the greatness that God has for us. The victory is in the transformation, the way we are changed by the struggle and shaped into the people God has destined us to be. So if you find yourself in a struggle today, don't give up. Don't lose heart. Victory is not far off. The struggle you're facing is not the end of your story. It's just a part of the journey. God is with you in the battle, and He will bring you through. The victory is already secured, and it's waiting for you on the other side of this struggle. Keep trusting, keep fighting, and know that through every challenge, you are being prepared for the victory that is coming. You are stronger than you think, and God's power is greater than any struggle you will ever face. God's favor is one of the most powerful forces in the believer's life. It's an unearned, undeserved, and often unexplainable blessing that rests upon those who trust in God's goodness and respond to his calling. We often hear about favor in the context of success or abundance, but it's so much more than that. God's favor is not just about what you receive, it's about what God is doing in and through your life to bring about his divine purpose. It is the grace that causes doors to open that were previously closed, the blessing that allows you to walk through valleys and still come out victorious, and the protection that shields you in ways that go beyond human understanding. God's favor doesn't always look like what we expect. In fact, sometimes it comes in the form of challenges, struggles, or moments of testing. Favor is not always about comfort and ease. It's about God's hand being upon you, guiding you through difficult seasons and carrying you to places that you never thought possible. When you are walking in God's favor, even the trials you face can turn into stepping stones. The key is understanding that favor doesn't just appear when things are going well. It remains with you through every high and low, every season, and every circumstance. The beauty of God's favor is that it doesn't depend on your own ability or worthiness. It is not earned by works or good behavior, but is freely given by God. He chooses to bestow his favor upon you because of his love, his grace, and his sovereignty. This means that even when we fall short, even when we fail, God's favor still rests on us. It's not about being perfect. It's about being positioned in a relationship with God where his favor can flow freely into your life. When God's favor is on you, he opens doors that no man can shut. He makes ways where there seem to be none, and he blesses you beyond your wildest imagination. God's favor also brings with it anointing, a supernatural empowerment to do things that would be impossible on your own. You may not have all the qualifications, resources, or connections, but when you have God's favor, you have access to a divine supply that is far greater than anything the world can offer. His favor elevates you, promotes you, and positions you for success in ways that transcend natural limitations. Favor will take you to places of influence and opportunity, not because of who you are, but because of who he is. Another powerful aspect of God's favor is that it brings peace and provision in times of uncertainty. In the midst of challenges, when everything around you seems to be shaking, favor is the steady hand of God that holds you firm. It's the peace that surpasses understanding, even when the storm is raging. When God's favor is on your life, you don't have to fear the unknown because you know that he is working on your behalf. His favor ensures that even in the wilderness, there is provision. It is the manna in the desert, the water from the rock, and the supernatural supply that meets your needs in unexpected ways. God's favor also sets you apart. It marks you as someone who is under the divine protection and blessing of God. While the world may operate under the principle of merit, God operates under the principle of grace. His favor doesn't make sense from a worldly perspective because it's not based on what you've done, but on what he has chosen to do for you. It's his will and his timing that determine how and when favor is released into your life. When you walk in God's favor, you will experience divine alignment with his plan, and things will begin to fall into place in ways that you cannot explain. Favor doesn't just benefit you, but it also impacts those around you. When God blesses you, others are blessed as well. Your family, your friends, your colleagues, and your community can experience the overflow of God's favor in your life. This is why it's so important to steward God's favor wisely. When he entrusts you with favor, it's not just for your personal gain, it's for the benefit of others. You are meant to be a conduit of his blessing, sharing the goodness of God with those around you. God's favor is not meant to be hoarded, but to be shared, extended, and multiplied in the lives of others. One of the most beautiful truths about God's favor is that it is not limited to a specific season or time frame. It's not something that comes and goes like a passing wave. God's favor is a constant presence in the lives of those who walk in obedience and faith. Even when you can't see it, his favor is still working. It's not always visible to the naked eye, but it's always at work behind the scenes. God's favor surrounds you like a shield, keeping you safe and guiding you through the most challenging times. God's favor also works in perfect timing. We may not always understand God's timing, but we can trust that His favor will show up exactly when we need it most. There may be moments when it feels like things are delayed, or when you wonder why things haven't worked out according to your plan. But God's favor works according to His perfect timing. He knows what you need when you need it, and how to best position you for the blessings He has in store. His favor is never late, it's always right on time. God's favor is a reminder that we are not alone in this journey. It is a tangible expression of His love and commitment to us. When we experience favor, we are reminded that we have a Father who sees us, who knows our needs, and who is actively working on our behalf. God's favor is a declaration that He is for us. And when God is for us, who can be against us? His favor secures our future and assures us that His plans for us are good. Even when we don't understand what's happening in the moment, we can trust that God is with us and He will never leave us or forsake us. In every season of life, whether you're walking through a time of abundance or a time of struggle, God's favor remains constant. It is not dependent on our circumstances or our feelings. It is a reflection of God's unchanging love and goodness. When you walk in God's favor, you don't have to worry about what's ahead, because you know that He is with you, guiding you, blessing you, and making a way where there seems to be no way. Favor is not just about what you receive, it's about who you are in God's eyes and the unshakable truth that He is for you and with you every step of the way. The breakthrough is near, and it's closer than you think. Life has a way of testing us, pushing us to our limits, and making us question whether we're ever going to see the end of the struggle. But let me tell you something today. Just when you think you've reached your breaking point, God is preparing you for a breakthrough. It's in the darkest moments, in the moments when you feel like you've been praying and waiting for so long with no answer, that the breakthrough is being prepared behind the scenes. Sometimes we think that breakthrough means an instant solution to our problems, but it's so much more than that. Breakthrough is not just about a single moment where everything changes. It's a process of growth, of transformation, and of preparation. Every prayer, every tear, every moment of faith you've had through your struggle is not wasted. God has been working in you, shaping you, and making you ready for the blessings that are about to be released in your life. What may seem like delay or setback is actually God's divine timing at work, setting the stage for your breakthrough. It's easy to get discouraged when we don't see the progress we want to see, but we have to trust that God's timing is perfect. Breakthrough doesn't come when we think it should, it comes when we're ready for it. Just because you don't see it happening in the natural doesn't mean God isn't working. The breakthrough is happening in the unseen realm. God is orchestrating things, aligning people, resources, and opportunities in your favor. Even when it seems like nothing is happening, God is always at work on your behalf behind the scenes, getting everything in place for the moment when everything will change. We often want to rush the process because we want to see results, but sometimes the wait is part of the breakthrough. The waiting refines us, strengthens our faith, and prepares us to handle the breakthrough when it comes. When we wait on God, we learn to trust Him more deeply, to lean on Him more fully, and to let go of our own plans in exchange for His perfect will. The process of waiting is not wasted time, it's a time of growth and preparation. It's in the waiting that God teaches us to rely on His faithfulness, to trust in His promises, and to hold on to the hope that He will come through for us in His perfect timing. Your breakthrough is not just about the end result, it's about what God is doing in you in the process. The process can be tough, but it's in that very place where God is refining your character, deepening your trust, and building the resilience you'll need to stand firm when the breakthrough comes. If we rush through the process, we may not be ready for what God is about to do. The breakthrough is near, but you have to be prepared to handle it. You have to be ready to step into the new season that God has for you. And sometimes that preparation requires us to go through the fire, to be shaped and molded into the people God has called us to be. There will be times when you feel like giving up, when the enemy whispers in your ear, telling you that your breakthrough will never come. But in those moments, remind yourself of the promises of God. He is faithful. He is true. He will not leave you in the struggle forever. The breakthrough is near, and you have to keep pressing forward, keep holding on, and keep believing that God will bring you through. Remember that breakthroughs are often born in the most unlikely places. Just as a seed must be buried in the ground and go through a season of darkness before it can sprout and grow, so too must we endure times of darkness before we see the breakthrough. God doesn't operate on our timeline. His ways are higher than our ways, and his timing is always perfect. He sees the bigger picture, and he knows exactly when the breakthrough needs to happen. He's not just concerned with getting you through the struggle, he's concerned with what the struggle will do in you. Sometimes the breakthrough you're waiting for isn't about changing your circumstances, it's about changing you. God wants to stretch your faith, deepen your trust, and help you become the person you need to be in order to walk in the fullness of the breakthrough he has for you. And when that breakthrough finally comes, it will be worth every moment of waiting. You will look back and see that all the moments of struggle, all the times when you thought you couldn't go any further, all the times when you felt like giving up, those moments were the very moments that were preparing you for the breakthrough. You'll realize that God was with you every step of the way, and that the breakthrough was not just about what you received, but about who you became through the process. The breakthrough is near. You are closer than you realize to the moment when everything shifts, when everything changes, and when God brings you into a new season of blessing and favor. It may not look like what you expected, but it will be exactly what you need. It will be the moment when everything you've been praying for and believing for comes to fruition. It will be the moment when God's power is revealed in a way that will leave you in awe of his goodness and grace. So don't give up. Keep pressing forward, keep trusting, keep believing. The breakthrough is near. It's closer than you think, and God is about to do something incredible in your life. Even in the waiting, God is working. Even in the struggle, God is preparing you. And when the breakthrough comes, you will be ready to step into all that God has promised you. Trust that the best is yet to come, and that your breakthrough is right around the corner. In conclusion, let me remind you today that no matter what you are facing, no matter how hard the struggle, God is working on your behalf. He is orchestrating things in the unseen, preparing the way for your breakthrough. His favor surrounds you, his promises are true, and his timing is perfect. Even in the darkest seasons, when it feels like nothing is happening, God is at work, aligning everything for the moment when everything will shift in your favor. The breakthrough is near. Don't lose hope. Keep trusting, keep pushing, and keep believing that the best is yet to come. Understand that God's plan for your life is far greater than you can imagine. The challenges you face are part of the process, shaping you into who you are meant to be. You are stronger than you think, and God's power is greater than any obstacle you will encounter. Through his favor, divine timing, and unwavering promises, he is setting you up for victory. So stand firm, hold on to your faith, and know that what God has for you is on its way. The breakthrough is near, and when it comes, it will be greater than anything you ever expected. Keep your eyes on the prize and trust that God is leading you into a new season of his glory, blessing, and favor. The best is truly yet to come.